Here we go now. The George Brett documentary tonight. It's a couple of hours. It's at 8 o'clock on the great network with the great Hall of Famer, one of my all-time favorites. He beat the Yankees a lot. He played great against the Yankees. That's got something to do with it. But he's our pal, George Brett. Mr. Brett, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Good morning. How are you? I'm in Arizona right now, so it's still morning.
Good to have you with us, George, as usual. Two things that I didn't know about that I want you to have fun with. A quarterback in high school, too many picks. Let's get to that. That's fun. Go ahead. Let me hear.
Well, I was a quarterback and up until my senior year, and about 3 games into the season, I think I had about 6 interceptions, and the coach finally came up to me, Doug Minner, and said, we're going to make a change. You're going to now be the slot back. But I really didn't like getting hit, and if I dropped back to pass, I knew I could sense somebody was going to blindside me, so I would just throw it where I thought somebody might be. However, nobody was there except the guy on the other team. And after throwing about 4 or 5 interceptions, he made me a slot back.
There you go. Probably best off. That's number one. Number two, I didn't realize that you changed your uniform number to number 5 in 1975 for Brooks Robinson, who just passed away. Let me get your thoughts there.
Well, I was wearing number 25 when I got called up to the big leagues, and I wore that 1973, 1974. At that time, we traded Richie Scheinblum, and our clubhouse manager, Al Zeke, called me in California and said, I know you wore number 25 your first 2 years, but number 5 is available. I know you admire Brooks Robinson, which I did. He was one of my favorite players in baseball. And so he said, I want to make a change. I want you to wear number 5. I said, what's the number? I'll wear whatever you want me to wear, Al. And Al turned out to be one of my best friends in the game. He was my equipment manager forever. And so he just decided to change my number to number 5, and I okayed it.
There you go, number 2. Number 3, I was at Darrow School in New Lebanon, New York, watching it in 1977 with that slide into third base when Nettles kicked you and went nuts in that great series against the Yankees. Let's discuss that for a sec. Go ahead. Let me hear.
Well, Hal McRae, I think I was hitting third. Hal McRae got a base hit, and I hit a ball over Mickey Rivers' head in center field, and those series that we played, Chris, they were violent. I mean, it was out of control series. And the way we slid into second base, the way we took out base runners or tried to take out position players on double plays, and I just slid. It was the last game of the playoffs. So I just slid in hard. My momentum carried me over a little bit. I came up, pushed him back a little bit. He reaches down, kicks me in the foot. I get up and throw a right hook at him and knocked his hat off. And the next thing you know, Guidry and my third base coach, Chuck Hiller, and Greg Nettles and I all go down in a pile. I'm at the bottom of the pile with Nettles, and Thurman Munson wiggles his way in, and he covers my face. And he says, don't worry, I'm not going to let anybody take a cheap shot on you. And I've never forgotten that.
Look at that.
Thank Thurman for that, because there are a lot of cheap shots thrown in those things when you're at the bottom of the pile.
Well, I didn't know that. You've never told me that. I love
There's
that
a lot
story.
of things
All right,
you
that's
don't
number
know.
3. Well, I'd like to know from you because, again, you're my all-timer. Did the Royal players understand? No, I didn't like it at the time, but I know Littell killed him and killed you guys in '76. Were you okay with Whitey letting Leonard pitch the 9th in Game 5 of 1977 out of the bullpen? He was a starting pitcher, pitched great on Friday night, and then in a 1-run game, he started the 9th in Game 5. Were you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I never second-guess Whitey Herzog. He's in the Hall of Fame because he made a lot of good decisions, and with his heart, he thought that was the best way to get him out. Dennis Leonard was our best pitcher. He was well-rested, and it just didn't turn out the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, okay. Phenomenal game you had in '78. I mean, it's unfortunate that Munson hit the bomb off Bird there in that bottom of the 8th inning, one of the furthest home runs I've ever seen at Yankee Stadium, which overshadowed your incredible 3-home-run day. Now, you've had a lot of great games against the Yankees, and I know that's a losing cause, but if you think back upon it 50 years from now, or 50 years later as it is today, that's got to be one of your great days as a professional. 3 homers in a playoff game against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Let's discuss that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was. It was. I was hitting leadoff that day. Whitey wanted to give me as many at bats as I could. Catfish wasn't an overpowering pitcher. He tried to spot the ball. My first at bat, I hit a home run in the upper deck. Thought that was pretty cool. Next at bat, hit one to center field. Next at bat, hit just a little slider. Was out in front a little bit and just hooked it. And you know how short the fences are there in Yankee Stadium. It went out by about 2 or 3 rows, but it was a line drive. So I'm 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs, feeling pretty good. We got a lead, and Thurman Munson was really beat up that year and hadn't hit a home run in like 60 or 70 games, and he hit a 2-run or a 3-run home run off Doug Bird to give them the lead, and they ended up winning that ball game. But it was a great confidence boost for me to hit 3 home runs in a game. Did it probably 4 times in my career, but never in a playoff game, and so that was. It made me feel like I could play under that much pressure and gave me a lot of confidence the rest of my career.
That was game 3 in '78. The Yankees beat the Royals that year for the 3rd straight time in 4 games. You know, a lot of people have told me over the years, George, that beating the Yankees in 3 straight in '80, when you hit the bomb against Gossage in that 3rd game there in the middle innings, people didn't realize that Gossage pitched like the 6th inning, and George hit a ball as far as you can hit one in the upper deck at Yankee Stadium in right. You had to wait around a long time before you got a chance to beat the Phillies because they had that long series against Houston. You didn't go home, and by the time you got to Philly, the Royals got a little flat. That hurt you the first 2 games because you were kind of the favorite in that '80 World Series. How about that? Is that true? Give me a little rundown on that. I'm interested.
I don't know, Chris, if you could be flat playing in your first World Series. It was the first World Series for everybody on our team. And the Phillies had struggled to make it to the World Series for the last couple of years. They kept losing in the playoffs also. But we did stay in New York for 3 straight days. We practiced one day at Yankee Stadium. We took the next day off after we beat them. And then, we didn't know if we were going to open up in Kansas City or open up in Philadelphia or Houston. So the organization decided that we should just stay in New York rather than fly all the way to Kansas City and then turn around the next day and fly back to Philadelphia. So we just stayed there. We practiced one day on the field, celebrated a little bit. And the Phillies had just a knockdown, drag-out series against the Astros. I mean, it was one of the funnest World Series or playoff games that I've ever sat and watched. I think we were all deep down inside pulling for the Astros because, they had better pitching, but their lineup didn't scare you. The Phillies lineup scared us, with Schmidt, Rose, Luzinski. They had Bake McBride. They had a lot of guys that could hit, but Houston was basically built on pitching with Nolan and a few other guys. But in 1980 we had the best offense in baseball, so the pitching didn't scare us. We sat around. We were winning the first 2 games by 2 or 3 runs, going into the 4th or 5th inning. Ended up losing both of those. Come back and win the next 2 in Kansas City. And when I look back at it, I just go, God, we should have swept those guys because that's the one thing we did not do is give up leads, and we scored a lot of runs. But it just didn't work out. But I'll tell you one thing, after beating the Yankees, after losing to them in 76, 77, 78, it was like winning the World Series to us, and sat around for 3 or 4 games, didn't play a game. And then we had to try to jack it up again, and we just didn't jack it up high enough.
There you go. I'll get to George's individual accomplishments. The 390 was that year in a second. Did you think as a player, George, that you were going to be one of those guys who had this tremendous, like a Ted Williams, that had this tremendous career that just wasn't going to win a ring? Because people don't realize the '80 Royals, that ended that great run they had from 76 on, and then they didn't get back to the World Series playoffs, but no World Series into 1985. So you were around 11 or 12 years, and you were down 3-1 twice in '85. Did you think, gee whiz, I'm going to have this unbelievable Hall of Fame career, and I'm not going to get a ring? Did that thought go through your head in that period there between 1980 and then the Blue Jay and Cardinal series in '85? Let me hear about that.
Not really, because I was young. I got to the big leagues when I was 20. By the time I'm 23, I'm in my first playoff. I played in 3 playoffs. By the time I'm 26, we didn't win it in '79. We win it in '80. Lose to the Phillies, of course, in '80. Lost the mini playoffs in '81 to the A's because of the strike-shortened season. 82, 83, we didn't make it. 84, lost to the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. They went on to win the World Series. So I was in the playoffs 7 times in 10 years. I knew I was going to get a ring. The only thing that really disappoints me is you're in it 7 out of 10 years, and then you're not in it again your next 10 years. And that kind of hurt a little bit. It really did, because I thought I'd play in, 9 or 10 World Series, 7, 8, 9, 10 World Series. I only played in 2.
What did you think? Bottom of the ninth, game 6 against St. Louis, down 2-1. I mean, I know you had confidence. You got the great Dick Hauser sitting there. But what did you think? Gee whiz, 3 outs here. We got to figure out a way to get a run. You got the break on the call at first base. But remember, I saw Balboni the other night. He hit the pop-up that Clark dropped on first base on that bunt, where which killed him because the Cardinals would have gotten a free out.
Just a high pop-up. It was just a high pop-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Then there was a pass ball. Then there was a pass ball. I mean, even if they call him out, who knows what's going to happen, because Balboni got a base hit. He was up next. He got a base hit. And we would have put in a pinch runner. Who knows if we would have stole second. Dane Orge gets a base hit. That's going to tie the game 1-1. So who knows what's going to happen. I know in the documentary, I didn't, you sit around and you talk to someone like you and I are talking, and you talk for like 2 hours and you don't know what they're going to put in. And he started bringing up the St. Louis series, and people in St. Louis are still complaining, and which they are. But it was, God, how many years ago was that? 85, 95, 2005, 15, 40-something years ago, I think. And they're still talking about that one play. And the guy brought it up to me, James, and I said, geez, get over it, will you? For crying out loud. It was game 6. Yeah. Come out game 7. We showed up for game 7. They didn't. They didn't. We showed up 100%. To play, and they didn't. We ended up beating them 11-0.
And with Saberhagen, of course, that was the night that Aaron fell off the edge. That was, he was nuts that game. Go ahead.
I mean, Saberhagen was 20 years old, 21 years old at the time, and just
something like.
He was just a stud. He really was. He pretended like he wasn't nervous. I know he was shaking in his boots because he lockered close to me. And somebody said, hey, don't worry. If you don't pitch good, we won't win the World Series. So just go out and don't worry about it, Brett. He started laughing. But I know deep down inside he was a nervous wreck like the rest of us were. I remember going to bed before game 7. And I really don't know if I was so scared to death about playing game 7 or if it was the adrenaline from game 6, because I went to bed, it was about 2:30 in the morning. It was a night game. And I went to bed at 2:30. I woke up, it was 3:15. I went back to sleep. I woke up, it was 3:30. I went back to sleep. I woke up at 5. Finally, about 9 in the morning, I get out of bed. I can't sleep. My mind's racing 100 miles an hour. The Chiefs have a game that afternoon at 12 o'clock in Kansas City. I called up John Makovic, the coach, and I said, hey, John, I got to get out of the house. Is it all right if I come to the Chiefs box and sit in your suite? He said, sure, no problem. So I go sit in the suite just to get my mind off game 7, and I walk in, and Whitey Herzog's sitting in the suite with me. And it was really kind of funny. Whitey was sitting around talking and laughing, and all of a sudden it's like 3 o'clock, 2:30, and he says, well, I'm heading over to the stadium now. And you've been to the stadiums there. There's a tunnel between the Royal Stadium and the Chiefs Stadium. So we walk down the stairs, walk through the tunnel, get to the locker room, shake his hand and say, good luck. And he said, good luck. And next thing you know, it was game 7. But I ended up watching the Chiefs game with the no manager that day.
That is, with Whitey sitting next to you, I can go on forever. We don't want to spoil it for the documentary. You stay healthy. It's great to talk to you, George. You know how much I love you. Appreciate you coming on here today.
Thanks, Chris. Enjoyed it.